All right, I believe we are live. Let me just make sure I set this to a focus mode for an hour. Oh, I don't want audio looping, so let's mute that. All right, welcome everyone to another PCs and EVs live stream. We've got some big news in the electric vehicle industry that literally happened yesterday. I just got to share the stream in one other location, so we'll get that done next. How's the audio though? Is it loud enough or is it still a little quiet? I have a feeling it might be a tad on the quiet side. Alright, just gotta come on over here real quick. Command V, enter. There we go. Alright, so this is actually a build that was purchased on Java that we've got to assemble today. Go default view so I can actually see chat. Let me do a little bit of tidying up of the workspace first before we start. But man, I've got so many things to talk with you guys about. Okay. Thank you, Miranda. Let me know when you're back so that I can start chatting with you guys about some of the biggest advances in the electrical vehicle industry since the original Model 3. Sorry if this is a little bit more boring at the beginning. I always just got to clean up from the previous build I've done. But today we're building with a 4070 Ti. And this 4070 Ti is actually still sealed, which is the crazy part. I did pick it up secondhand. So it's always cool to see them still sealed. Let's see how overkill this cooler is for a 4070 Ti. The answer is quite. A 4070 Ti does not need a triple slot, triple fan cooler. But that's what it gets. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just excessive. I mean, it literally only comes with a 12 to dual, or 16 to dual 8 pin. So, at most, you could pull 375 watts on the card. Assuming 150 for each 8 pin and 75 through the PCIe slot. Obviously, not every single card has every single BIOS conform to the limits. For example, I've got the XOC BIOS on my Kingpin liquid cooled, and that will pull about 1,000, up to about 1,000 watts per card. And those are triple 8 pin cards. So that would be more like 300 watts through the PCIe plugs each, and about 100 watts through the 12 pin, or not through the 12 pin, through the board.
Okay, found this on the web for PCI earplugs each, and about 100 watts through the 12. Check it out.
Okay. Siri, go away. That is hilarious, Raj. How's it going? We're just building a new gaming computer today. Now, actually, Ford announced something that you might have missed yesterday. As of 2025, moving forward, all Ford next-gen products are going to use the Tesla plug on them. They are the first manufacturer to commit to switching over to the Tesla plug. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Everything's going well here. Hope everything is well for you. Yes, that as well. They did announce they were going more to like a fixed price model. And he also talked about how he doesn't like having to deal with the dealer network that has worked so well for them in the past. But will obviously object to them trying to go to the fixed price model. Ford. Ford is switching to the Tesla plug. So, yeah. It's actually kind of crazy to start seeing manufacturers make major shifts like that. Obviously, Tesla opened up their standard late last year with the intention of this happening. But Ford's the first one to do it. And they also said they will sell for existing Ford vehicles. They will sell a CCS to Tesla plug adapter, basically the Magic Dock adapter, but just standalone so you can use any supercharger station instead. It's a pretty major shift for a legacy auto manufacturer to be doing. And I have a feeling that if Electrify America wasn't as garbage as it is, it didn't have reliability issues, they wouldn't have cared. They would have been like, yeah, whatever, Tesla's doing their own thing. If Electrify America actually worked, and didn't have a lot of negative press surrounding it, like, sure, it is still by far the most widespread CCS charging network in the United States. But generally, when I pull up to EA, I don't expect it to work at full power. And that's a problem. I don't expect it to work as they intended it to. I mean, just last night, I pulled up to the Electrify America station in Manchester, New Hampshire. I decided not to make a short on this because I've made a short on this station multiple times before, and there has been some improvements to the site. Instead of only having 2 working plugs, now 4 of them work. But of those 4, only one of them does any decent amount of power, and the other 3 are limited to anywhere from 25 to 55 kilowatt. I mean, like, we were on station 1, and we were getting 26 kilowatt in the GV60. The battery was slightly cool, but it wasn't cold enough to be throttling the charge rate that much. I would have expected at least 130 to 140 kilowatt upon initial plug-in on a 150 kilowatt capable station. Then there was an F-150 Lightning on another 150 that was only getting about, I believe it was 60 kilowatt. It's nuts. I think they're not going to be allowed to buy EA due to anti-competitive reasons. Same reason they had to open up their charging standard before other manufacturers can jump on board. The fact that they didn't just open up their charging standard to begin with is the reason we're in this mess, realistically. Because in Europe, they just all use CCS1, or maybe it's CCS2, and the Meinike's outlet for AC charging. I just gotta check what storage I'm putting this with, as well as what power supply. But this computer that we're building right here is a Ryzen 7 7700X 8-core processor on the AM5 platform, paired with 32 gigabytes of G-Skill DDR5, running at 6,000 megatransfers a second, all being housed in the MSI Pro B650P Wi-Fi motherboard. Yeah, I guess Amazon could technically purchase EA for valuable info. Or like Shell could buy out EA. But Shell actually just bought Volta. Okay, an Assassin X ARGB. We're going with a black case, so I'll grab a black Assassin X for the cooler. Oh, I've got the Assassin King, which is the same thing. Still a Thermalright single tower cooler, so it'll be perfectly fine. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with EA. In other news, the local electric hybrid dealership to me, Eco Auto, that we actually bought our blue Model Y from, is going to let me do a significant amount of vehicle reviews moving forward, which I'm very, very excited about. They have a variety of vehicles available at just about any time, and they're actually at relatively reasonable prices. At one point, they had the cheapest Model 3, refresh Model 3 long range in the country. Now, I've never installed this, but I'm sure I can figure it out. Yeah. Yeah, AM5 is going to be the same as AM4. I'm going to use these spacers. We're going to use these screws. And I got to use these little brackets. Thank you, Mark. You'll actually notice in a couple of days, I've got an ID4 review coming up on the channel. So that's going to be nice. I actually wasn't entirely too prepared to shoot it. So it is a little more off the cuff than a normal one would be. But I've been getting a bit more hardware in to shoot with. So you'll have a center vehicle camera from behind me. So that you can see it as I'm driving around. I am expecting Model 3 prices probably are going to drop another $1,000 or $2. I expect late in the year that Project Highland is going to come around. And honestly, I don't know why anyone would buy a Model 3 long range right now. If I'm remembering correctly, with both of them with the Aero wheels, technically Model Y is rated for slightly better range. Actually is the same price post-tax credit. Obviously, not everyone qualifies. Because the Model 3 long range gets a $3,750 tax credit, but the Model Y long range gets a $7,500 tax credit. So I think they have some serious issues with how they're pricing Model 3 at the moment. Obviously, they've also got Highland down the road, which they actually just teased recently at their most recent earnings call, I think it was. Investor Day, whatever. Their most recent thing. But yeah, no, I mean, the fact that Ford is adopting the Tesla plug is pretty huge. The Y pricing is crazy cheap. The 3 pricing is crazy high, I feel, at least for what it is. Which, it's just a Corolla. Standard range 3, alright, whatever. Yeah, I can understand its current pricing. But the long range just seems like a really high price for a long range 3. And I can understand. I know why they're doing it. It's actually pretty blatantly obvious. You push everyone up into the Y, you make more money. The Y does more volume, so you have more volume discount there. It probably costs them maybe $1,000 more to manufacture a Y than 3. Like probably $1,000 or $2 more, and they can price it $3,500, $4,000 higher. Because they've got the bigger tax credit on the Y, amongst everything else that they have with that, I mean, it's just economies of scale. They sell way more Ys than 3s, especially, like, the Model Y itself was the best-selling vehicle in the world last quarter. Or for Q1, rather. Yeah, that would be last quarter. We're in Q2. And, like you said, Mark, people do want larger vehicles. I mean, I would much rather have a Y than a 3, personally. And that's why we own a Y, and why we own a GV60 instead of, like, I don't know, an Ioniq 6 or something. Amongst other reasons for our specific vehicle choice. Pretty sure this had a 1 terabyte NVMe. Let me double check. Okay. I'll actually just need to go out and pick up an RM750E to finish the build off, but we'll be able to do everything except power supply and powering it on stream today. Where's the... Let's take care of all of our trash that we're accumulating as we do it. Yeah, they have done amazing with ramping up their production on the Model Y. And Raj, the reason they've actually been able to ramp up so much, so Fremont has been running at capacity for a long while now. Maybe they've ramped up, I don't know, 4% extra cars through there. But they brought Giga Berlin on, and that's now online. Giga Shanghai's production has ramped up as well. And then obviously Giga Austin has started manufacturing all of the standard range Model Ys. What I find interesting is that the Model Y in the United States is only sold as an all-wheel drive vehicle. In other markets, they have a rear-wheel drive. I think it's probably just that they don't want to eat into their own sales too much. Which is why you couldn't order the standard range directly. It could only be ordered as like an inventory vehicle before as well. Before they had production ramped too much, they wanted to limit what they sold of those just to people who really wanted them and would search for that extra $3,000 savings. I don't know, man. I mean, they've been hitting on a lot of things recently. They've been doing really well, making all the right decisions. And Tesla itself, as a technology company, is probably one of, if not the most advanced company, technology-wise, in the country. I mean, I was messing around with OpenAI. Oh, yeah, Raj. I fully agree. Assuming that they'd price a rear-wheel drive one about $3,000 lower, and yes, it'd have better range. Boom. Then it competes with your long-range offerings. And instead, you can just sell them a more expensive long-range all-wheel drive one for like $7,000 more than you'd have to price a standard range battery pack size single motor one. Even if they had very similar ranges. But like I was messing with Comma AI, which is Open Pilot, which is open source. It's basically an open source FSD. And I have the hardware in my vehicle in for testing at the moment. A viewer actually sent it over very graciously. I'm very thankful to them for that. And I just put it in experimental mode. Mark! Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You did not have to do that, man. Thank you. But for the Open AI, it's so far behind what I presume FSD to be at level-wise. Thank you again, Mark. I really, really, really appreciate it.
Thomas?
Yeah? Okay, bye, Father.
Have a great weekend.
You as well. Enjoy camping. I think, so, the new OpenAI thing can, like, stop for stoplights and stop signs in experimental mode. And it's supposed to act like a normal human driver would, driving at, like, a relatively reasonable speed for roads and stuff like that, based on what it feels like the road should have for a average travel rate. And dude, the thing, I get on the highway and the thing will not go above 55 when there's no cars around. And then the instant a car starts passing us, it sees the car, so it seems to try and stay in their blind spot, which is very, very, very not good. And it'll speed all the way up to about 62, 63, and then and then the car's obviously gone around us by then, so it'll just slow back down. Versus FSD, you can get an FSD to drive, from my understanding, just about anything up to about 80 or 85 miles an hour, depending on the road. And my understanding is it will adapt that based on your actual driving dynamics and stuff, like road conditions, stuff like that. But like this technology was struggling to keep up with the speed limit consistently. It wasn't just like, oh, we got on the highway and it wouldn't do it, but on all the side roads it was perfectly fine. No, on side roads where it's like a 25 mile an hour speed limit, it'll try going 20. On roads where it's, who knows, like 35 to 40 mile an hour speed limit, it'll go like 30, maybe 35. And then after a while, starting from a stop, obviously I've got it installed in an electric vehicle. Starting from a stop, the thing takes forever to accelerate. It literally is like someone trying to hypermile a Prius. And I'm like, I've got one of the fastest cars on one of the fastest realistic non-hyper cars on the road, and yet it won't accelerate quickly with it. And it's just very, very, very frustrating and not a great user experience for sure. Let's grab the case. So we're going to actually be putting this 7700X build. Here, let me move that. Go down here. We're going to be putting this in a Montec Air 1000 Premium. This is one of my more liked cases to be able to build with. It's a very good budget option. It's got 4 front 140 mils, or sorry, 4, wow. It's got 3 front 140 mils and a rear 120 millimeter fan. I brought a drink up here. Where's my drink? Give me 1 second, guys. I will step away and I will be right back. I am thirsty. Aha! I have found the drink. This week, 2 or 3. Hasn't been too hectic. I recorded a fan video for GamDS yesterday. I'm actually waiting to post the PC itself on Facebook up until I get the 3080 that should be arriving today back in from being RMA'd with Gigabyte. But yeah, this week's been pretty lax. I actually haven't listed any of them online. So later today, once the stream's done, I have to go through and list the one that's done, which is one that I built on the previous stream very recently, I think. Yeah. I don't even remember at this point. They all kind of blur together, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I've been noticing that on the YouTube channel itself, PC content does a little worse, mostly because I post... Alright. See ya, Raj. Have a good one. Yeah, Miranda, you missed a lot. As of their next-gen vehicles, 2025 model year. Thanks for tuning in, Raj. I really appreciate it. Also, Miranda, I got more $30 motherboards and more $15 ones. I currently have so many motherboards on my shelf. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boards that I bought open box for at most $40. And then I've got one that I bought with a 2200G and 8 gigabytes of RAM in it. I don't know. It doesn't take priority over Ford doing NACS, does it? Hey, you see the pile of 6600s is still up there. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. And one of them's at my foot right in that computer. So I've only sold 1 or 2, maybe, 6600s. So we're trying a smaller single tower cooler on the 7700X. Shouldn't be an issue. Realistically, the 7700X doesn't run crazy hot. Obviously, it runs warmer than the 7600, but yeah, it'll be fine. But yeah, I think Miranda can confirm that like the Montech Air 1000s seem to be one of my favorite cases to build in. Just about every other stream I'm building in one. Now, I think the next, so obviously we've got an ID4 video set to go up over the weekend. And then after that, we've got to figure out what we want to do as far as a vehicle beyond that to do. Yes, I know you like blackout builds. You could also just not plug in the RGB fans. But then the fans are light. I know. Just R. Now, this build that we're building here was actually sold on Java as part of the commissioned sales process. If you guys want a little insight into that, just let me know. I'm moving this so it doesn't get the case to crush its PCIe connector. Typing is hard when you can't edit. It's something that all of us in the commission sales process thought was going to go a lot better than it did. There's nothing wrong with it inherently. It's just wasn't nearly as fruitful as expected. If you get what I'm saying. I just threw that screw into the case and then found it instantly. I did not mean to throw it in, but yeah, good job, Thomas. We're almost done all the things that I can do. Miranda, I don't have the power supply for this. I actually have to run to Best Buy to grab it. So that's always fun. But I will say, so I actually have you guys on here. I've got the stream up. It's the first time I've done that because I've got the MacBook streaming over there. You guys are actually recording on the iPhone, wirelessly transmitting to the MacBook itself. And then from there, obviously it goes up to YouTube and comes back into the monitor here. So if that's why I keep looking at the monitor right here. Also, do you guys like my posters? I've got the SR-71, I've got the B-2 Spirit, I've got the Apollo flight profile. Behind you guys, I've got Apollo, like a cross-sectional analysis. I've got a space shuttle, and then I've got the orbiter structure for the shuttle. Yeah, I try, Mark. There are some things where it's like, hey, maybe I'm not doing it perfectly, but I mean, I'm doing it the... Oh. Ha ha ha! Miranda, it's stealthy. You wouldn't see it anyways. The posters I've had for a while. I don't know if I have ever mentioned them, though. I'm also looking into getting something to go like here, here, and maybe here. I don't even know at this point. I'll probably just try and get another one of my banners or my logo or something like that, just so I can put it up like right here. Whether it be the PCs and EVs or the PCs by Thomas, I haven't decided yet. Because obviously my business name locally is slightly different than my YouTube name. Because on YouTube I decided I was going to make electric vehicle content instead of just talking about computers. And that was after I'd already incorporated. So I don't really know how to change my business name or anything like that with the state. So is what it is. Let's see. Let's get all the front panel stuff plugged in. Now, question for you guys who would watch gaming PC stuff. How would you feel about... How do you feel about using time lapses in, like, during building? So, like, this live stream would be like an equivalent of like just a time lapse and everything, so I don't have to be entertaining. But like so that I can still include the entire build process in the video itself. Would a time lapse be a good way of handling that, or would something else do better? Just like little segments. I'm just trying to figure out which one you guys would prefer seeing. Actually, I haven't had any. I have. It's been a while, and actually, it was back when I was streaming on Twitch. But yes, I had someone pop in whose PC I was building. I've actually had multiple customers watch me build their computer live. Short segments, probably. Okay. I prefer time-lapse because it's so much easier. And my brain doesn't know what to do for short segments. But yeah, I'll work on doing that. Yeah. The funniest thing is I could just say, I've had to just say before, hey, doesn't look like I have everything on hand. I thought I did. We're going to have to cut the live stream a little short, and then I ran out and grabbed what I needed. And finished it up off camera. But you are correct to a large extent. You can say that, oh, I need to insert reason you need to be off camera. And that's your cop-out. Like, oh, work just called me in, blah, 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 whatever. Tech tip. So yeah. Alright, so I've got all the front panel stuff plugged in. I've got the RGB run. Time to get the graphics card in, and the only thing I won't have in yet will be the power supply cables. since obviously I don't have the power supply currently. Unfortunately. Hey, Miranda, question. RM850X and RM750E, are they both Type 4 power supply cables from Corsair? Do they both use Corsair Type 4? I think they do, but... Because I got a RM850X on trade with no SATA power off of it, so I just need to grab a SATA power off another power supply at one point. Yeah, this thing is no need to be this big. Has no need. None. You do not need to be this giant. Okay, thank you. I'll just have to look later. There we go. And the garbage 12 pin. That is in all the way. And we'll just run the cable down like that. There's so much room in the middle of this for more cables. Yeah, just running this down like this is going to be our best bet. Alright, so that's going to do it with today's live stream. I just built a computer, other than power supply obviously, in 42 minutes, including talking about Ford's NACS offerings. Not a bad day. I appreciate you all for tuning into another live stream from us here at PCs and EVs. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And as of tomorrow, we'll have a Gambius Fan 4-pack review. Those are going to be the Aeolus M3s, the new 1204R, which 120 is just going to be the size of the fan itself. Then 4 is the pack, R is for RGB. But as always, guys, hope you guys have a great rest of your day and enjoy. Bye-bye.